The music was soft, the wedding's glow warm, when David's voice shattered my world. "Charlotte, I'm leaving you," he said, his glass raised, his smile cold, as our son's guests froze mid-clink. The words hit like a slap, public, deliberate, meant to break me before family, friends, and strangers. My heart raced, my hands gripped my champagne flute, but I stood tall, my lavender dress catching the light. In that moment, I saw his truth, cruelty, not love. If you're drawn to tales where betrayal sparks resilience, where the broken find their voice, join me in this space where we unravel life's sting. Share your thoughts below. What would you do, faced with such a wound? I didn't crumble. I smiled, thin but steady, and raised my glass to our son, James, and his bride, Anna, their love a fleeting shield against the gasps rippling through the tent. David sat, his eyes avoiding mine, his triumph smug. But I was already planning, my mind sharp, my heart burning. He thought he'd won, thought he could humiliate me and walk away. He was wrong. I'd have the last laugh, not with tears, but with a reckoning he'd never this jagged, this raw. When I met David, I was 25, a marketing coordinator with a knack for turning ideas into campaigns, my desk cluttered with coffee cups and post-its. He was a contractor, all confidence and blueprints, building homes for families like the one we dreamed of. We met at a charity auction, bidding on a weekend getaway, his laugh warm as he outbid me, then offered to share the prize. We talked until midnight, the world fading, our futures tangling like vines. I fell for his promises, his vision of a life built together, solid as the houses he crafted. We married in a vineyard, my dress ivory, the air sweet with grapes and vows. I designed our invitations, swirls of ink capturing our hope. We settled in a Virginia suburb, a brick house with a porch swing I'd always wanted. I climbed the ranks at my agency, pitching ads for tech startups, my evenings spent brainstorming slogans. David's business grew, his trucks a familiar sight, his name on signs across town. We had James 2 years later, his giggles filling our home, his tiny shoes by the door a new kind of joy. I was the anchor, balancing work and motherhood, my sacrifices woven into our days. I'd wake to the scent of coffee, the kitchen humming as I packed James's lunch, apples, a note saying "You're my hero," and kissed him before school. David would leave early, his toolbox clanking, his kisses quick. I'd work late, laptop glowing, then read to James, his head on my shoulder, Dr. Seuss's rhymes a lullaby. Weekends were ours, picnics by the river, James chasing fireflies, David and I laughing, our hands brushing. It wasn't flawless, but it was ours, a life of effort and love, or so I thought. The cracks were there, hidden beneath routine. David's late nights, his client meetings, his phone always locked. I trusted him, trusted the man who'd vowed to build our forever. But trust can blind you, can make you miss the shadows until they're shouted in your face, at your son's wedding, with a glass raised to your ruin. The signs crept in, soft as whispers, over the past year. David's trips grew longer, his excuses sharper. "Big project," he'd say, waving off my questions, his phone buzzing late, its screen a secret. I found a receipt in his truck, for a restaurant I didn't know, 2 cocktails, a date when he'd said he was working. I held it, my fingers tracing the numbers, my heart sinking in our quiet garage, the air heavy with oil and doubt. I told myself it was nothing, a colleague, a mistake, but the seed was planted. He pulled away, not all at once, but in fragments. No more morning coffee together, no more teasing about my messy bun as I worked. Our conversations dwindled to bills, James's college plans, the roof's leak. I'd catch him smiling at his phone, messages he didn't share, his fingers quick to hide the screen. I tried to bridge the gap, cooked his favorite, steak, medium rare, with garlic mashed potatoes, lit candles, hoped for connection. He ate fast, said he was tired, left the table cold. I washed dishes alone, the water hot, my reflection blurred in the sink. Then there was Claire, his new office manager, hired 8 months ago. Her name slipped into his stories. Claire fixed the schedule. Claire's great with clients, too often, too warm. I met her at a company picnic, her hair sleek, her smile sharp, her hand lingering on David's arm. His eyes followed her, a spark I hadn't seen in years. I pushed it down, blamed my fears, but the unease grew. A text I glimpsed, "Can't wait, see," made my stomach drop. I didn't confront him. I wasn't ready to face the truth, to break the life I'd built. More clues stacked up, each a needle in my heart. A new watch, expensive, not a gift from me, glinting on his wrist. A withdrawal from our joint account, $7,000, no explanation. I checked online, my hands trembling, the bank's blue glow harsh. He said it was for equipment, his tone clipped, daring me to push. I didn't, but I watched, noted his quick glances, his forced laughs. The man I loved was fading, replaced by a stranger wearing his face, and his announcement at James's wedding was the final blow. The wedding was meant to be James's day, a celebration under a white tent, Anna radiant, their vows soft against the Virginia sunset. I'd planned it all, from the peony bouquets to the jazz band, my heart full despite the strain with David. But his words, his public declaration, tore through that joy. "I'm leaving you," he said, his toast a weapon, the crowd's gasps a chorus of my humiliation. I stood by the cake, my lavender dress suddenly heavy, my champagne warm. I wanted to scream, to run, but I stayed, my smile a shield, my heart a storm. That night, in my hotel room, I sat on the edge of the bed, the city lights dim through the blinds. I replayed David's voice, his smirk, the pity in James's eyes as he hugged me after. 30 years, and this was my worth, a discarded wife, a spectacle. The pain was a knife, twisting with every breath, but beneath it, anger burned, fierce and clear. I wasn't the woman he thought, weak, silent. I was Charlotte, who'd raised a son, built a career, survived his neglect. I wouldn't let him win. I opened my laptop, the screen's light stark, and began. Our bank accounts first, more withdrawals, thousands, funneled to an account I didn't know. I screenshot everything, my fingers steady, fueled by rage. I cracked his email password, James's birthday, his arrogance unchanged. Messages to Claire, not work but plans, a life without me, words that seared my eyes. Soon, one read, "We'll be free." I forwarded them, deleted the trace, and dug deeper. Elise and Claire's name, paid with our money. Hotel bookings, a divorce draft, my name erased. Each find was a wound, but also a weapon, sharpening my resolve. I called my friend Laura, a lawyer, her voice calm as I whispered the truth, my hotel room dark but for the laptop's glow. "We'll bury him," she said, and I nodded, tears falling. I wasn't a victim. I was a force, ready to reclaim my life, to make David pay for every lie. I returned to the wedding cleanup, hugged James, my smile genuine despite the fire inside. David was there, charming guests, oblivious to the trap. I played my part, the dutiful wife, but my mind was a chessboard, every move calculated. I bought a recorder, tiny, hidden in my purse, and caught his calls, his promises to Claire, his voice smug. I documented everything, receipts, texts, withdrawals, my hand steady, my heart steel. I met Laura in a cafe, the air thick with espresso, my laptop open, evidence piled high. She reviewed the emails, the recordings, her pen tapping. "This is enough for divorce, maybe fraud," she said. "Let's go further." She suggested a private investigator, discreet, to track Claire, to find the money. I signed the contract, my signature sharp, my fear gone. I wasn't just protecting myself. I was dismantling David's world, piece by piece. The investigator was fast, his reports stark. Photos of David and Claire, laughing at a rooftop bar, her hand on his. Bank records, our savings drained to Claire's accounts, offshore, sloppy. I froze our joint accounts, citing fraud, my voice calm as I spoke to the bank. David didn't notice, too wrapped in his plans, his ego blind. I hired a forensic accountant, Rachel, who traced every dollar, her office a maze of spreadsheets, her eyes fierce. He's careless, she said, and that's his mistake. The turning point came a week after the wedding, when I found a letter in David's office, hidden in a drawer. A new will, leaving everything to Claire, James, and me cut out, our lives erased. I stood, the paper trembling, my pulse a drum. It was the final betrayal, but also my spark. I copied it, sent it to Laura, and planned my strike. I'd expose him, not with rage, but with precision, at a moment he'd never expect. Pause here, dear viewer, and share in the comments, what do you think Charlotte's next move will be? Will she outsmart him, or will he slip away? I gathered my evidence, my resolve unbreakable, knowing the boardroom of his life was about to collapse. My plan was silent, a shadow he'd never see. I kept working, my campaign sharper, my smile bright for James, while I worked late, my office a fortress of truth. I met Rachel, her findings a map of David's greed, the offshore accounts vulnerable to a court order. Laura drafted papers, divorce, alimony, fraud charges, her words a blade. I contacted James, shared enough to protect him, his anger at David a mirror of mine. I sent the investigators' photos to Claire's boss, a man strict on ethics, knowing her job was at risk. I chose my moment, David's annual company gala, a week later, where he'd be celebrated, his ego on display. I prepared a presentation, not for work, but for justice, slides of emails, recordings, the will, hidden on a USB. I practiced, my voice calm, my heart a furnace, ready to turn his triumph to ash. The gala was my stage, my lavender dress swapped for black, sleek, a symbol of my rebirth. At the gala, David stood, his speech polished, his smile wide, contractors clapping. I waited, my USB ready, my breath steady. When he finished, I rose, requested the projector, my voice sweet. A tribute, I said, to David's legacy. He grinned, clueless, as I started the slides. Emails flashed, his voice played, promising Claire a future, the will stark on the screen. The room went silent, faces stunned, David's glass slipping, wine staining the floor. You thought you could leave me, I said, but you forgot who I am. The crowd murmured, some outraged, some whispering support. I handed Laura's papers to David's partner, a lawyer, who nodded, his jaw tight. The bank knows, I said. The police know. Your game's over. I walked out, my heels clicking, the night air cool, my heart free. The aftermath was a storm, but I stood firm. The gala's fallout was swift, David's clients left, his reputation shattered, his face in local news for fraud. Laura filed the papers, the divorce brutal but clear. The judge awarded me alimony, the house, half the recovered funds, the offshore accounts seized, every dollar mine. Claire lost her job, her dreams with David gone, her name a whisper of scandal. David faced charges, his truck sold, his life a shadow of what it was. I struggled, too. James was hurt, his trust in David broken, our talks raw but healing. The community gossiped, some judging, others praising my courage. I doubted myself, wondered if I'd gone too far, if James deserved a quieter end. But he hugged me, said, "You're my hero, Mom," and I knew I'd fought for us both. I sold the house, its porch swing too heavy with memories, and bought a townhouse, modern, with a garden for lavender, my hands in the soil, rebuilding. I threw myself into work, landed bigger clients, my campaigns winning awards. I joined a book club, laughed with new friends, their stories weaving into mine. I traveled with James and Anna, a weekend in Charleston, the ocean's roar a new beginning. Each step was a victory, each day a testament to my strength. I wasn't the woman David had tried to break, not anymore. I was Charlotte, whole, fierce. Months later, I stood in my garden, lavender blooming, a book in my hands, the sun warm. James and Anna visited, their laughter bright, their love a gift I'd fought for. David was a rumor, his life small, his betrayal a lesson I'd turned to triumph. I didn't gloat. I'd won, not with his cruelty, but with my truth, spoken in a room full of power. I thought of the woman I'd been, who'd loved David, who'd believed in forever. She was still there, but I was more, mother, strategist, survivor. What would you do, if someone tried to erase you? Would you rise, like I did, and laugh last? I hope you would. Your strength is yours, and no one can take it.